Okay, we're going to do vertex edge graphs. These were the notes that we went over. This is for anybody who needs a refresher to do your homework, study for the upcoming quiz, or just wasn't in class. So you were given this handout, and it had the southeast region of the United States. The first thing we want to do is make a vertex edge graph. In other words, we want to put the states down: Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and don't forget Alabama. I think I got them all. Okay, we want to make a vertex for each state. Now we're going to connect the vertex or the vertices with edges or lines. The lines tell us that a state shares a border with another state, and we call these edges of the vertex graph. So Arkansas shares a border with Louisiana. It shares a border with Tennessee, shares a border with Mississippi. And then we go to Louisiana, we make sure that it shares a border with Mississippi. Arkansas is already there. Moving on to Tennessee, we see that it shares a border with Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina. Mississippi shares a border with Alabama. Of course, Alabama shares a border with Florida, Georgia. We've already got Tennessee here. North Carolina shares a border with South Carolina. South Carolina with Georgia. Georgia shares a border also with North Carolina. Got the Alabama. Georgia and Florida share a border. And I think I have all the connections. And then when you're finished with that, you want to, let's see what the finished product would be. It would be this map right here. You'll see this. So I believe we have all the connections. And you see how the vertices can be laid out in different ways to make a more clear graph. For instance, now I see I probably could have brought Georgia out here, and then I would have had a more clear graph. Okay, and then now we want to fill in our matrix, and we fill it in with ones and zeros. We have a 1 if a state shares a border with another. Now here we have and we list them all. So we have 9 states, so we'll have a 9 by 9 matrix. North Carolina does not share a border with itself, so we would put a 0 in. It does share a border with South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. Notice that we go and we look at North Carolina and we see that there's a line from Tennessee, a line to Georgia, and here, and a line to South Carolina. Everything else is zeros. And so we continue to fill that out, and what you'll have when you fill it all out is this. And of course you could pause this, and it's not that clear, but you can see where all the zeros, there's a 1, 1, 1, there's the ones. And just follow your vertex graph and fill in the 0 and the 1s. Now then the fun part comes when you enter this into a graphing calculator. What you do is just make a 9 by 9 matrix, fill it in exactly like you have in your chart. Then grab that matrix, put it on your home screen, and everybody knows how to do that, and then simply hit the square button. And when you hit the square button, you'll get a matrix that looks like this. Notice that all the numbers have changed. And what this tells us is that there are now, instead of just taking one path, how many connections can we make with two paths? So for North Carolina, since it bordered 3 states, North Carolina can visit itself, in other words, make a round trip to another state and back to North Carolina, and there's 3 ways to do that. Let's look at what that means. In other words, North Carolina could visit itself by going to Tennessee and then coming back. That's one trip. North Carolina could visit Georgia and come back. That's another trip. North Carolina could go to South Carolina and come back. That's another trip. Now let's see what happens when we have one state visiting another. For instance, South Carolina and Tennessee. We see there's 2. What does that mean? What that means is that South Carolina can go to Tennessee by using 2 states, and there's 2 ways to do that. South Carolina can go through Georgia and then Tennessee. That's one way to visit 2 states. Another way is for South Carolina to go to North Carolina, then Tennessee. So those are the 2 ways that it can visit 2 states at a time using those 2 routes. And that's how we get our answer, by simply squaring the matrix, and that keeps us from doing a state-by-state analysis individually. I hope this helps with your homework, and we'll see you later.